Namaste everyone. In today's video discussion, I would like to talk about relationship patterns, how it is affected by family karma, what is family karma, and the importance of having a daily practice of self-empowerment. So let's start with family karma. A lot of times, family karma is the cause and effect fate. Fate is considered cause and effect, while destiny is considered your inherent right to rise like a tree rises towards the sunlight. Now, a lot of us have family, or we could say 7 generations of a pretty solidified cause and effect pattern, meaning our father has his groove, the son has a similar groove, the great-grandfather or grandfather has a similar groove. So these grooves are basically imprinted on our neurological state of mind. And what really moves us into that direction is the nervous system. So we get a nervous system set from our mother. And the state in which our mother's nervous system is, it depends on her self-worth, her sense of security, her sense of grace, and her sense of determination. That creates the nervous system of the children. Now, when there is self-empowerment that is absent in a generation or several generations, basically what that does is it creates a really weak nervous system that is unable to break through. So every generation, it should be breaking through the last. It should not be a continuing of the groove of great-great-great-grandfather, mother way back then. So the cause and effect is a very easy momentum to travel into. And that's when we talk about the cycle or the repeating pattern that shows up in our life, and we reflect and realize, oh wait, my father and my grandfather have a similar thing. For example, there's someone I knew who has a relationship pattern where all the relationships he has end, usually kind of badly, and it's because of sex. Okay, sex is the reason why these relationships end badly. And when we look at the person's father, the father has some sex distortions and the grandfather has some sex distortions. So basically what's the groove that's being carried down is this whole sex fantasy thing that's being played out. So for the young man to end the cycle and to have a breakthrough is he has to discipline himself. And that goes with various grooves, we could say. So he has to discipline himself. So that's self-empowerment. For example, in my own family, there is this generation pattern of men in my family that are kind of dud, or like there's no really emotion going on, there's not really energy level going on, like a lot of childhood issues. So that kind of low energy has been a pattern in my unique family, particularly in the women generations. So for me, a discipline is to not go for a partner who is energyless, meaning he lacks the energy to be emotional, to take responsibility for his actions, and so on and so forth. So an energetic person is someone who takes responsibility for their actions, for their life, for their childhood, and they are emotionally maturing. So a lot for me it's like men that are emotionally plateau or emotionally stagnant or no growth going on in the emotional body. So the heart chakra, the emotional body, is pretty much a dud. There's nothing going on there. It's cold depression, numbness, okay? So, and there are many patterns. So those are just 2 examples. So with our family karma and the cause and effect fate that creates a powerful momentum, it really only takes a single individual to break it. Now every family has some of it's really solidified. It even depends on what culture you're participating in, okay, what culture you're in, okay. So it's going to be different in America from, let's say, India, Japan, Africa. So basically a single individual has the power, the self-empowerment, to create an entirely new legacy. And that's what we're doing through the meditation and through participating in the spiritual growth and development. We could say having a spiritual awakening, as we're creating a new legacy that is on the rise, because we're exiting out of the plateau, meaning the dark ages. We're just in a decline when it comes to intelligence level, when it comes to vitality level, when it comes to just overall ability to reach victory, is the plateau, okay? So in order for us to really create this new legacy, we have to first get very clear with ourselves that every day we are going to have to discipline ourselves. So a lot of people don't like that, and it's easy to just go to the mediocre route. I mean, it's very easy to just fall into that momentum, but a lot of people are realizing that falling into that momentum is not going to lead you anywhere. A lot of young people, even older people, are realizing, if I stay in the current of my mommy, daddy, grandma, grandpa momentum of the cause and effect fate, that a lot of times is just a pattern that's not helpful, it's not constructive, it's not creative. It's kind of like a dud. We think of quote unquote dud or a dull person, energy-less. Basically, a lot of us are realizing, like, no, I have to get out of that. I have to get out of that. So the daily practice of self-love, of meditation, of some sort of yoga is a way for us to discipline ourselves, to reflect upon ourselves and experience a daily breakthrough. So we're breaking through that current of energy that is set up. So the stronger the will you have, which is determined on your incarnations and your experiences and masteries in your incarnations, the stronger the will a person has, the more able they are to hold it. To hold that daily self-empowerment, to hold that daily discipline of not so easily just going for the pattern that daddy did and the pattern that great-grandpa did, okay? So that means we have to face our self-sabotage tendencies, because that's one thing that kind of shows up when we're wanting to break through our daddy, mommy, grandpa, grandma sort of pattern groove, is the self-sabotage. So when we are raising our caliber as an individual and creating an entirely new legacy out of the plateau, we have that self-sabotage sort of tendencies, meaning we are setting an intention as a unique soul, a part of a family, setting an intention to have a higher life experience, but our worth, being a part of a family, all of us, our worth is pretty kind of low. So what happens is, a lot of times the divine gives us little things here and there to kind of validate to our intention, like, hey, keep going, keep going. But the self-sabotage, a lot of times, it is so uncomfortable, okay, and maybe doesn't have the strength, okay, the nervous system strength to actually keep going with it, that what happens is we self-sabotage, we create some sort of self-defeating inner chatter, and then we miss the opportunity to experience like an improve in our family sort of cycle. Okay, and that comes to marriage partners, that comes to just the way your lifestyle, it can come to sex, it can come to your emotional well-being, even your diet, your energy level, even your chosen jobs, where you live, the way you live, all of that is we are elevating the worth of that pattern for these various things. So the self-sabotage we work with through the mantra, through the yoga, through the daily self-empowerment, because if we don't have that, basically we don't have the strength to hold that caliber long enough in our body for the opportunity to arise, and we can actually set our lifestyle into that opportunity, and therefore experience a total makeshift rebirth from an individual of 7 generations. Okay? So recognizing our relationship patterns is one thing. Very, very important thing. Relationship patterns, because that's the thing that it's definitely happening on this planet Earth. So our relationship patterns, we need to look at the people we're attracted to or that we are attracting into our vortex, and are they similar to our mothers and our grandmothers' sort of relationship patterns and their men and their marriages or divorces. So with this current age is quite interesting because, like I said, we are reaching the conclusion of the patriarchal ages, which is about the dark ages, which is a decline in intelligence, decline in emotional maturity, these kinds of spiritual maturity. And now we're experiencing the Aquarian Age, which is about an incline of intelligence, of emotional maturity, vitality. So what that means is that we have the planet's support in making that quantum leap. But it will not happen if we don't strengthen our nervous system, because it's directly with our nervous system that really decides if we're going to hold that life or not. I'm talking about our life in the totality. So we have our sex life, we have our marriage life, we have our lifestyle, we have our eating life, we have the way where we live, the way we live, our friends, our emotional maturity, emotional development, as well as our intellectual development. All of this stuff is a lot of times influenced by the cause and effect fate of our plateauing family line. Okay, so with our daily self-empowerment practice is we are wanting to break through 7 generations so that we can experience a legacy we create, and that is a mastery of its own, to create a legacy that is our own. So our own meaning our souls, our wills, okay? So when I wake up early morning and do my morning satna, that's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about, yes, I can hold my arms a little bit longer. I can hold the pose a little bit longer because I'm not doing it just for me. I'm doing it for the 7 generations that basically sat in the dark cave and just stare at the wall, okay, in the 7 generations of potential to experience higher amount of vitality, a higher intelligence level, as well as a higher consciousness level. And that's all determined by me. So that's a big responsibility. But if we have no sense of responsibility in our life and we're just in this victimization, it's going to be so easy for you to just continue the momentum of your fate. Okay, and if your fate, the 7 generations behind you, if you look at their lives, such as your father, your mother, your grandfather, your grandmother, and it's not something of vitality, higher intelligence, higher consciousness, emotional maturity, then we got some things to think about, okay? But everyone is different. So there's things that you want to refine that are in the 7 generations. For example, there could be individuals that did experience a tremendous breakthrough in, let's say, emotional maturity and experience some sort of enlightenment in that area. For example, could have been a breakthrough in addiction. So the tool or the talent they have, we always gain a tool or a talent when we have a breakthrough. When we break through an obstacle or break through a block, we gain a talent or a tool. So you may have that. May have that from your great grandfather, a talent or a tool that helped them break through an addiction or a block or just an unhelpful plateauing dullness thing. Okay, so you may want to refine that and build upon that, strengthen that. So, and then there might be things in your family line that you want to delete out of your code of embodiment. Code such as, it could be even grandparents have some sort of inherited illness. There are ways to delete that out of your code. But the deletion of that code, since it's so solidified because it's been carried down and down and down, it's going to take your will, and it's going to take your nervous system strength, because that nervous system strength is connected directly to your will. Okay, they're one and the same. So the caliber for your will is determined by your nervous system, which is quite interesting. And your will also has to do with self-responsibility, a self-governing attitude and altitude. So overall, as young people, as leaders, as participants of the Aquarian Age, we are working diligently, vigilantly, and working consistently, devotedly with ourselves every day, because we know that the planet is reaching a conclusion and that a new golden doors are opening for us to experience the rise in consciousness on this planet. And that in order for us to participate in that for not just ourselves, the 7 generations behind, the 7 generations forward, we have to create a nervous system that's really solidified, consolidated, crystallized within our soul's empowerment. Okay, so a lot of you guys might not know what that means. A lot of us just don't have the energy level to understand. And that's the thing. We just don't have the energy level because our nervous system is so shot. So when we are on the pursuit of our higher life, which a lot of us are, and that's why there is such this haste or this hustle to get a higher life, because a lot of us are coming from the dark ages and the families of, they just didn't have the energy, or it wasn't accessible to have, let's say, the tools or the talents that we as young generation have access to, because of the unlocking of the planet's knowledge through the internet and through our just internal intuition and sensitivity. So what that means is that we should definitely be able, all of the young generations, to experience the quantum leap within our family's karma. Okay, and if we're not experiencing that, then it just means that we are not working with our destiny, and we're working with solely our fate. Like I said, cause and effect pattern. Your grandpa, your granddad, grandma, great-grandma, mom did this sort of pattern, the way they reacted to things, the way they behaved, their integrity, their sense of identity, their ego was like this sort of pattern, their relationship was like this. And you're mirroring that, and that creates an effect where you have the similar effects that your daddy had or your mommy had, okay? So insecurity, worth, usually it's with the lower chakras, such as our security level and our sense of worth, because that directly has to do with our nervous system. So the stronger the nervous system, when we tend to feel more secure in, let's say, holding a position for like an hour in like yoga or something, or the higher the worth we have, the more we are able to hold, like we're consistent, like we can hold it, we can keep going, we can keep pushing forward. So, and these are things that is directly going to bring us into the legacy that we create within our soul's empowerment. So when I mean crystallized, when I mean consolidate, okay, when I mean solidify, that is simply you are reorganizing, you are recalibrating everything within your mind, body, and spirit alignment, and you're creating your own mandala. So when you see kids creating little mandalas that are their own, you're creating your own sophisticated mandala that is representing the new era of exploration for 7 generations ahead and 7 generations behind. So a new era of exploration means you are unblocking and unlocking a potential within many facets of yourself. And what that does is it gives a total renewal, a total refinement, and as well as a total improvement and evolution. of just who you are, giving yourself and your legacy a rise, opportunity to rise, a momentum of rising rather than a momentum of plateauing. Okay? So I hope that this video has resonated with you and encourages you to keep going. As Yogi Bhajan once said, we have to keep up. And I'm beginning to understand what that means. And it's really the nervous system and how it's directly related to your worth and your sense of security. So self-governing security, self-responsible security creates the consistency and commitment to the worth that you want to obtain. So we're on the hunt for a lot of energy. And we want to obtain a lot of energy in this lifetime within our physical body, within our mind, within our spirit, because the more energy we tend to have, the more breakthroughs we have. So that's why we experience every day this self-empowerment, because we need as many breakthroughs as possible, because we're not just breaking through one area of our life or one facet of the mind. We are breaking through the total embodiment. We are cracking the code, breaking the code, configuring the code that makes us this embodiment and creates this subconscious interlock with our family. Okay. So the one thing is discipline. Your level of discipline to yourself, your level of awareness, and overall the foundation of that is the level of energy you have will determine the stability, like I said, the security, as well as the worth that you will obtain in this lifetime. So when I mean obtain, I mean you integrate it fully through yourself. That means you can't trick your worth. You can't. If you're doing things that are just not in alignment with that intentional worth you want to obtain, or that worth security within your identity, within just your lifestyle, your health, all of that, your vitality, like I said that, well, you can't trick yourself. You can't fool yourself either. So it's either you are in, or you there's no half in, okay? And that's the thing with a lot of people. It's a matter of keeping it going, of keeping it consistent. So meaning when the fears come up, break through it. When more fears come up, break through it. But never when the fears come up, you just go back to the old ways, because it's like going back to stage one, okay? And consistency is you got to keep the path going on the intentional worth you want to obtain in this life. So meaning in marriages, if there is a partner that shows up that is very much mirroring what your mom had, your grandpa had, or grandma had, usually it's the women in the family, then you gotta break through it, okay? And if there is a relationship that is challenging your nervous system, okay, and you gotta understand that that is an opportunity given from the universe to help you experience a leap into a new relationship pattern. But it's all based on your intention, because everything that we are is based on our direct intention, because our intention is our focus. Whatever it tends to be our focus tends to be where we put our energy towards. So if we're putting energy towards an obtainment of a higher caliber of worth, of security, and we have the energy behind it, okay, there are people who have intentions, but they have no energy behind it, meaning they're pouting, they feel entitled, they feel just overall moody about their intentions. They have no energy. So therefore, you could focus on that all day long, but if you have no energy, you're not going to be able to obtain that, because any higher life experience is higher energy. People don't realize that. Higher life experience isn't I can just be emotional zombie and then obtain that. No, It's very much, you have to have the energy level, you have to match that. So if you're asking intentional for obtaining of a higher worth, of a higher sense of security, well then you better get your energy really resourceful and get your energy really high. So that means all the pouting, the sighing, the entitlement, the moody, the just random sex, or anything that we do that just really takes away our sense of dignity and integrity, it's not going to work. You can't fool yourself. So a lot of us think that we can, but we really can't. So that's when it comes to the discipline, and that's when it comes to the commitment of the nervous system. So the nervous system shaking, it's because you're experiencing an unknown zone within your nervous system, meaning it hasn't experienced that level of energy before in the body, or it hasn't experienced that particular alignment that you have just crossed into. So that alignment could be one with the mind, body, and spirit that creates a lot of energy. And it's like, whoa, I've never experienced this for a very long time, very, very long time in the, generations of Rosa, okay? That means it's just a sign that you are unlocking something within your body that just has been absent or dormant within 7 generations behind, but therefore you're unlocking for generations ahead of you. So if you unlock and you just hold it, you hold that caliber so it actually can become its own momentum. Momentum is something you do for a long time. That's what it is. You do for a long time, that it does it on its own. That's what we're creating, where we're no longer seduced and tempted by the patterns, because we've created such a strong magnetic momentum within this new groove that we've integrated into our body, embodiment, that it's natural for us to flow in this way. And it's unnatural for us to be like our daddy, or to be like our grandpa or grandma or whatever generations behind us, okay? That's what we're getting to, and that's with the total nervous system. It shakes until it gets into that groove of the way like you're living and the way that you're moving and your energy level, that it just becomes natural for your nervous system to basically be flowing in that energy level, or that energy orientation. Okay, so anything else, really, I'm just kind of channeling what's important for you guys to know at this time. So again, they're just saying that it's your discipline and it's your commitment to this level of soul empowerment. And the foundation of that, again, you without this foundation, there's no discipline. And commitment is like, there's no such thing, and therefore all your integrity is gone, your dignity is out the window. It is your energy level. So how much energy that you have, you're bringing into your body, such as intellectual energy, such as sexual energy, such as creative energy, such as intuitive energy, spiritual energy. So that's why we are doing these meditations and doing these sadhanas, because we are hunting for this energy. We require to hold our discipline, hold our commitment long enough for the new momentum to be set. And once that new momentum's set, it becomes more easy to not be like your daddy or not be like your mommy. It gets more, you get more aware, and it's just naturally you're aware, and naturally you're not going for the subconscious interlock stuff that you have with your mom and your grandma. Okay? So, and then with a single generation or single person, it can be done. With a single person, it can be done. Because a single person doesn't realize, with the will and with the soul, we have 12 ascended beings with us that is accessible to anybody. And I'm talking about 12 ascended beings is like 12 zodiacs, like Aries to Pisces, and all of them are accessible to all persons. So what that means, if you really set the intention in a really right alignment, a right alignment, you can access these 12 ascended beings, like Aries to Pisces. And those are 12 ascended beings can give you the knowledge, give you the intuition, give you the blessing, and give you the good fortune to experience your liberation for yourself and for your family. For liberation out of the dullness, out of the stinking, stenching cave, out into the open potential, the brightness of vitality is what we all want to do. And it's not a matter of fact. I mean, in many lifetimes of the Dark Ages, we have our liberation, and many of us, we don't make it, meaning we die or crucified or all of that kind of stuff. I know I've experienced that. The guillotine. But overall, when a single individual has its own breakthrough, has its own higher energy obtained, and higher caliber, higher consciousness, higher worth obtained in that life, in that body, in that person, it doesn't matter if it's like in the Dark Ages, if that person reaches the guillotine or not. It's forever prevailed over the electromagnetic field of the planet, creating an impact on the planet that gives the planet more liberation rather than less. And that more liberation ultimately affects the community, it affects the region, it affects the ideology, the culture. Okay, so it's not just our family, it's a lot bigger. It reaches our community as well, that liberation that we've obtained through our higher energy obtainment. Okay. So when you have the downs, which we all had the downs, we all had the negativity, when you break through that every day. You're doing it for this entire planet. And you're bringing back to this entire planet, within the field of this planet, more energy, more talents, more tools, more ways, more methods, more open doors, more possibilities on moving through, all the way through until everything that is the past, the present, the future is you as you are intended to be, a soul to earth, you, who you are,